Fellow delegates, welcome to the first year of the juniors Trabzon Sınav MUN. First of all, I would like to briefly introduce myself. I am one of the chairs of this committee. My name is Özhan Dinç.
Fellow delegates, I'm the other chair on this committee. I would like to introduce myself. I'm Celal Amzoğlu. For instance, if you wanna go first or cannot hear us.
Please talk with the admins, they will help you.
Our first admin name is Bıraktı Tomruk. And the second admin is Nazal Işır. As you know, we are here for Junior Sınav MUN conference.
United Nations NY program for short. Our first section is the roll call. During the roll call, you must either state to be present or present and voting. We will not be going by the roll call. Austria.
Present and voting.
Brazil.
Present and voting.
Canada.
Present.
Chile.
Present and voting.
Egypt.
Present.
Finland.
Present.
France.
Present and voting.
Germany.
Present.
India.
Present.
Italy.
Present.
Japan.
Present and voting.
Nepal.
Present.
Netherlands.
Present.
Norway.
Present and voting.
People's Republic of China.
Present and voting.
Qatar.
Present. Voting.
Russian Federation.
Present.
Saudi Arabia.
Present.
South Korea.
Present.
Spain.
Present and voting.
Sweden.
Present.
Turkmenistan.
Present.
United States of America.
Present.
Zambia.
Present.
With the roll call out of the way, we will be setting our agenda motion for this session. From A to Z. The first is Austria.
Honorable Chair, fellow delegates, most esteemed guests, Austria is very grateful for the opportunity to be a part of this conference and the chance to find a useful solution for environmental issues such as climate change and global warming. Global warming is a continuously increasing environmental issues all over the world. All the countries are responsible for its ever-increasing. Climate change is affecting temperature, weather, ecosystems, and biodiversity. Their strategy highlights adaptation in the sectors of water management, natural hazards, biodiversity management, energy, tourism, health, and biodiversity management. We hope to fulfill this project and save our planet. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. The next delegate is Brazil.
Honorable delegates, respected chairs, Brazil mission is the center of gravity to model United Nations for give change to find suitable solution for one of the main environmental topics such as climate change and global warming. As you know, global warming is threatening our life on Earth. It has some horrible consequences which can affect human life. Climate change in Brazil is getting hotter and dire. The greenhouse effects to excess carbon dioxide and methane emission makes the Amazon rainforest hotter and dire, resulting in more wildfires in Brazil. Parts of the rainforest risk becoming savanna. Brazil committed cutting emissions in half by 2030, ending illegal deforestation by 2028. We hope to do all of these projects safe for the environment, healthier the life. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. The next delegate is the delegate of Canada.
Esteemed Chair, respected delegates, why is it important? Climate change can have impacts on human health and safety, the economy, natural resources and ecosystem in Canada and throughout the world. We all see the impacts of climate change, more frequent and intense droughts, floods and extreme weather events affecting homes, infrastructure and our health. To conserve and protect nature, the government of Canada is committed to being a global leader and has taken action to explore with indigenous and northern partners how to support and protect the future of the Arctic Ocean's last ice area. Acting as a leader internationally for action, we are delighted to proceed with the necessary steps to reduce the effects of global warming and climate change. Thanks for your kind attention.
Honorable Chair, fellow delegates and guests, Chile expresses its heartfelt gratitude to Model United Nations for gracing the occasion of being in this conference to find purposive solutions for one of the environmental issues such as climate change and global warming. Global warming is one of the biggest challenges around the world. Many people face many problems and hardships after this disaster. Chile highly affected by climate change such as wildfires, floods and landslides, droughts and rising of sea level. All of this growth and development in regions, particularly for electricity, committed to net zero emissions by 2050 as part of ambitious climate targets. And of Chile's future plan is the conservation. We hope to save our environment, save our life. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. The next delegate is the Delegate of Egypt.
So, delegates, respected chairs, Egypt is very humbled and honored to be one of the members of this conference and has a chance to find the solutions for one of the significant issues as climate change and global warming. As a result of global warming, water and agriculture product will gradually decrease and famine will surround the whole world. Thus, people nutritional problems will increase and many diseases related to hunger will develop. A country like Egypt with desert and delta, low rainfall, hot summers, huge cities along coastline and one main river is highly vulnerable to climate change. Well, hope that this project will be an excellent opportunity for us to keep climate at the top of the global agenda, which we believe for the well-being of citizens, economies, and the future of our planet. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates.
Here, as now well, it has become a standard practice that each government draws upon energy and climate change policy strategy under their responsibility. Finland, among those, sees the importance of the act and act plans against the reduction of the threats of climate change with global warming for a change in our greenhouse gas emissions. Our government is pushing, and so far the population of our country has committed themselves to making this change a target of at least 40% domestic reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2030 compared to 1990, having been good at setting goals for our country. We have set to improve in our renewable energy and energy efficiency. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, delegate. Our next delegate is the Delegate of France.
Esteemed delegates, Honorable Chair, like many countries and institutions around the world, we have committed to going carbon neutral by 2050. So how exactly is our country planning to get there, and currently how it's going so far? We currently 70% of our energy from nuclear power. We insist that nuclear energy is a key piece of the carbon-neutral puzzle. To limit the impact of climate change, the puzzle must rapidly reduce the dependency on fossil fuels. To reduce greenhouse emissions, nuclear energy is low carbon and can be deployed on a large scale at the time scale requires buying the world with clean, reliable and affordable energy. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, delegates. The next delegate is Germany.
Dear fellow delegates, as well known, our country Germany has already achieved a great deal in the field of climate action. We are phasing out the use of coal to generate electric power. We intend to refurbish more buildings to energy efficiency. We are forging ahead with climate-friendly mobility and we intend to get everyone on board. The Climate Action Program 2030 and the Climate Action Act should ensure that we achieve the climate targets in 2030. In future, we will conduct a full, transparent and well-revised monthly communication with our climate targets. Every section will be required to its base. The carbon dioxide balance will be revised annually and severe corrective action taken if we show divide from the intent course. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Delegate. The next delegate is the Delegate of India.
Honorable Chair, fellow delegates, and esteemed guests, India is deeply honored to be here today as a member of this committee to find useful solutions for one of the main topics in the world. As a climate change and global warming remains the main topic of discussions all over the world because there is a fear of decreasing the chance of life on the earth. The unpredictable impacts of global warming in India is agriculture and public health. There has been increase in national mean surface and temperature and the number of hot days, rainfall patterns, melting of Himalayan glaciers, and sea level on the both coasts in the country. It is the third largest emitter of carbon dioxide after China and the US. India will get non-fossil energy capacity to 500 gigawatt by 2030, with 50% to 5 energy from renewable energy and reduce the total projects of carbon emissions by 1 million tons from now till 2030. So by year 2070, India will achieve the targets net zero. We hope to have a very healthy world. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. The next delegate is Italy.
We will go now here. We are actively promoting initiatives to reduce black carbon emissions from the transport sector, such as a low impact fuels, use of ecological vials for the distribution of goods and implementation of services and infrastructures for the public transport. Following the Paris Agreement, we have witnessed a constant increase and development of the related to the implementation of policies to contrast climate change. In this regard, we developed the National Integrated Energy and Climate Plan 2030 a first step towards a deep decarbonization of the nation that shall occur no later than 2050. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Delegate. The next delegate is the Delegate of Japan.
Honorable Chair, fellow delegates, most esteemed guests. Japan is very grateful to be here today and has a chance to find suitable solutions for environmental issues such as climate change and global warming. Global warming is an international phenomenon phenomenon and a man-made disaster. Japan is warming up. Japan has been experiencing more frequent hot days and less extreme cold days. Observed increases in both land and sea temperatures, rising sea levels, changes in rain and snowfall patterns, and extreme weather events will affect Japan in many ways. For example, its agriculture, human health, tourism, forest growth, wildlife migration patterns, fish availability, and even the nation's cultural identity. In 2080, Japan established its strategic energy plan with goals set for 2030. The plan aimed to reduce coal use, increase renewables, and to increase nuclear from 6 to 22% of the energy production mix. We wish to make the better environment, better tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. The next delegate is Nepal.
In agricultural production, food insecurity, strained water resources, loss of forest and biodiversity, as well as damaged infrastructure. This is the same when the world is considered to be as a highly mountainous country. Nepal are strengthening our institutions to ensure implementation of climate change and Red Plus programs. We are also aiming to enhance our forest carbon stock by at least 5% by 2025 as compared to 2015 level regulation vehicle emissions, enhancing waste management, controlling industrial pollution are just several ones of our action plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. The next delegate is the Delegate of Netherlands.
Honorable Chair, esteemed delegates, the Royal Netherlands Meteorological Institute has announced that sea level will rise by 1.2 meters at the end of the country if greenhouse gas emissions that cause global warming can't be reduced. According to KNMI, if the melting of glaciers in Antarctica accelerates, the sea level rise on the Dutch coast will also reach 2 meters. If greenhouse gas emissions are not prevented by 2090, the sea level on the Dutch coast will rise 1.2 meters higher than at the beginning of his country. In this respect, we are mainly aiming at reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Again, in this respect, international cooperation is the best way to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and cope with global warming. Thank and best regards.
Thank you, delegates. The next delegate is Norway.
Honorable Chair, fellow delegates, distinguished guests, it gives Norway great pleasure to be one of the members of this conference and has a chance to find useful solutions for one of the main environmental issues, such as climate change and global warming. Global warming and environmental crises are on the agenda of the whole world. Norway and Northern Europe can expect less snow, more heat waves and more floods according to the UN's newest climate report. What is Norway doing to bother? It is a member of the EU emission trading system, which tries to limit emissions from the power sector. Norway is also aiming to be a low-carbon society by 2050. In planning for Norway's transformation to a low-emission society, it will be vital to ensure that everyone is pulling in the same direction and that changes take place quickly enough for Norway to achieve its climate targets. We can say the environment is in us, not outside of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. The next delegate is the Delegate of the People's Republic of China.
Honorable Chair, fellow delegates, the Delegate of People's Republic of China is delighted to be part of the MUN conference. Delighted to be part of the MUN conference and the relevant debates in order to make this conference productive in terms of finding solutions against the effects of global warming, considering the major effects on the environment, economy and society. It will be worrying to say that China is one of the largest emitter of carbon dioxide through energy infrastructure, heavily focused on fossil fuels and coal. But for our policy, we are aiming to achieve carbon neutrality before 2060, lower our carbon intensity over 65% by 2030 comparing to 2005 level, and increase the share of non-fossil fuels in primary energy consumption to around 25% by 2030. We believe if we act together, we may contribute to the action plan. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, delegates. The next delegate is Qatar.
Honorable Delegate, respected Chair, Qatar is blamed for not taking action against global warming on its territory. Qatar is not here today to explain or apologize for any of these so-called tools. Qatar is here today to explain to the international community what other countries are not doing about global warming. The United States of America 20%, China 11%, Russia 7% carbon dioxide, but the measures they take are not enough and they do not take new measures. We condemn these countries for not taking new measures and we want them to take new measures immediately. As Qatar, we have put for the new climate change action plan, which aims at achieving a 25% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2030 and to reduce the carbon intensity of our LNG plants by 25% by 2030. Thanks and regards.
Thank you, Delegate. The next delegate is the Delegate of the Russian Federation.
Honorable delegates, respected Chair, Russia is delighted to be at UN's Model United Nations for finance as suitable and practical solutions for environmental issues such as climate change and global warming. It is one of the biggest challenges that environment is facing today. A warmer Earth disrupts the balance of the ecosystem and causes negative impact on nature. Climate change in Russia has serious effects on its climate, including average temperature and precipitation, as well permafrost melting, more frequent wildfires, flooding, and heat waves. Since Russia is the fourth largest greenhouse gas emitter in the world, it is needed to reduce the impact of climate change on both regional and global scale. The Russian Federation approved its strategy of socio-economic development of the Russian Federation with low greenhouse gas emission by 2050. We hope to get it. The environment is and will always be number one. One life, one world, one future. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. The next delegate is Saudi Arabia.
Are frozen in the energy sector of Saudi Arabia that will reduce carbon dioxide emissions by 278 million tons per year until 2030. The Saudi Arabian country aims to double its efforts for climate protection in this by Saudi Arabia is counted among the countries that put the workers on climate protection of efforts worldwide. In March, he announced a climate protection plan that included planting billions of trees and said his country wanted to get half of its energy from renewable sources by 2030 to reduce carbon dioxide emissions. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Delegate. The next delegate is a delegate of South Korea.
Honorable Chair, fellow delegates, distinguished guests, the delegate of South Korea is here to strive to formulate and participate in the efforts of the international community to address climate change and global warming. With a forum consisting of experts from academy, industry, and civil society, reviewing our vision and targets in reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. We promise to move towards the goal of carbon neutrality by 2050. To achieve carbon neutrality by 2050, we not only need a nationwide transformation but need an international concerted action with an awareness for all the necessary working steps. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, delegates. The next delegate is Spain.
Honorable Chair, fellow delegates, and dear guests, while the United Nations gives Spain an immense pleasure to be one of the members of this conference to find suitable solutions for one of the most important issues in the world as climate change and global warming. Global warming is the gradual rise in the temperature of the Earth's atmosphere. Changes in the temperature are starting to affect crop and livestock productivity in Southern Europe. Spain's goal is to completely decarbonize its economy, slashing its greenhouse gas emissions by 90%, stopped issuing new licenses for oil and gas exploration, closed most of its coal mines, running down its nuclear energy program. Spain highly values the environment and its well-being. Therefore, it looks forward to discussing this and other issues in the following days. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. The next delegate is the Delegate of Sweden.
Honorable Chair, fellow delegates, and dear guests, Sweden is overwhelmed with pride to be part of this conference and has a big chance to find useful solutions for one of the important environmental issues such as climate change and global warming. Global warming stresses ecosystems through temperature rises, water shortages, increased fire threats, droughts, weed and pest invasion, intense storm damage, and salt invasion. As you know, Sweden is the most eco-friendly country because it was the first country that initiated a carbon tax for carbon-intensive fuels like oil and natural gas. As a result, the country's dependence on fossil fuels got heavily cut down. Sweden possesses the highest percentage of renewable energy in the European Union. In addition, it increases the use of solar energy and afforestation. We will wish to do all of these projects because our environment is in our hands. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. The next delegate is Turkmenistan.
It's our privilege to be part of this conference and has a chance to find practical solutions for one of the most important environmental issues such as climate change and global warming. Global warming is a major atmospheric issue all over the world. And Turkmenistan is one of the most vulnerable countries to climate change in Central Asia. Under unfavorable climate change, the country must experience shortage of water resources, increased desertification. Turkmenistan pays particular attention to optimizing the structure of energy restoration, the environmental and economic system. It is committed to limiting greenhouse gas emission and improving the country's capacity to respond to climate change. The country should pass to the zero-risk development, which should lead to the country's economic growth and improving of living standards. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. The next delegate is the Delegate of the United States of America.
Honorable Chair, esteemed delegates, the USA find it is unfortunate to say that global climate change is one of the great crises that our world has ever faced. Without a global action plan, the effect of this crisis is prone to cause for greater tragedies soon. Despite the warnings from scientific states like to embrace responsibilities against climate change has due to different policy gains and aggravated situation. Meanwhile, the struggle against climate change has become heavily politicized in the US, and Washington continues to lack a rigid policy agenda. Different presidential administrations attain different conceptions of the crisis and abstain to identify the issue as a global and existential threat. This power of the United States of America, the world's largest economic power and the most important actor in the global system, actually increases the opportunity to be effective in the fight against environmental problems in the international environment. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, delegates. The next delegate is Zambia.
Honorable delegates, respected chairs. First and foremost, we'd like to say that it's so honored for us to being here to find suitable solutions for one of the main environmental issues such as climate change and global warming. Global warming has become a major concern in the world. We have also started facing its effects in recent times. Zambia has been experiencing adverse impacts of climate change, including an increase in frequency of seasonal droughts, occasional dry spells, increased temperatures in valleys, flash floods, and change in the growing season. The government of Zambia has launched a new initiative to use it is part of a wider attempt in the country to improve the livelihoods of rural communities by restoring damaged ecosystems. We hope that we can make the world to be the better place to live. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. The next session is adjournment motion. It means that end of the conference we will meet next year.
So for this year, it's over. We will not be giving out any motions for this year for simplicity. But in the next year, we will do this more complex and better. So see you all next year. Meeting has been adjourned.
Evet, burada cheer'larımıza teşekkür ediyorum. Adminlere teşekkür ediyorum. Değerli adminler. Çocuklar hepinizi kutluyorum. Yani çok güzel bir sunum oldu. Şöyle söyleyeyim, biz buradaki adminler ve cheer'lar, onlar da ayrılmasın, yanıma gelsin. Onlar da yanımda dursunlar. Cheer'lar, please. Cheer'lar da gelsinler. Şimdi bakın, Bu abileriniz, ablalarınız, yani sizin çevre aklınızı yapan insanlar Antalya'da bunu birebir yaşadılar. Şimdi onlara soralım, onlar nasıl buldular, sizler nasıldınız? Bir de onlara soralım mı?
Evet.
Soralım. Önce çayırlara soralım, nasıl buldular bu konferansı? Bu çocukların ilk konferansıydı. Buyurun.
Şimdi ben dürüst olacağım, ben sizden böyle bir vocabulary beklemiyordum. Kelime seçiminiz beni çok sevdim harbiden. Hani ben daha basit gelirsiniz diye düşündüm ilk sefer için ama ben bayağı sevdim.
Güzel.
Okuma hızını yavaş yavaş okuyarak gelişecek.
Diğer çayırlara.
Gerçekten Özan'ın da dediği gibi hepinizin telaffuzu falan gerçekten çok güzel. Biz hatta sizden daha heyecanlıydık. Daha da kötü yaptık orada açıkçası, biz söyleyelim burada. Yani gerçekten sizi de ben tebrik ediyorum buradan. Teşekkür ederim.
Arkadaşlar, aksanınıza, vokabülünüze, kelime seçimlerinize ve cümlelerinize cidden sevdim ve biz de hemen hemen aynılarını direkt Antalya'da kullandık. İşte biri sayısal veriler kullanma falan çok hoştu. Cidden orada da çok ilgi görüyor bunlar. Ellerinize ağzınıza sağlık. Teşekkür ediyoruz.
Yani diğerlerinin de dediği gibi ben çok beğendim hepinizi. Güzeldi abi.
Evet, gördüğünüz gibi aslında sizin baktığınız gibi değil buradan baktığınızda.